Hi, I'm Seth with Land the House. You're watching the very last video of the shed build series. It has taken me 59 days to build this, and luckily I finished just in time because it's supposed to start snowing tomorrow. I wanted to take a step back and look at the building as a whole now that it's complete. Each video so far has focused on a single task, and it's time to get the overview. So let's go ahead and walk through the things that have been done so far. Let's focus on the outside real quick. I have made a little dirt ramp with gravel on top that comes up here to my plywood landing and ramp. And I put some rocks down here in a hole, paver stones on top of that. And I cut some 2x8s down to hook to joist holders or joist hangers. And that goes to my little landing. And you can see that does go down into the ground about 18 inches there. And I attached the landing with more joist hangers. Haven't driven the four-wheeler on this yet, but so far it's doing really well. I'm very pleased with it. Okay, for the little awning or overhang here, I extended out my fascia board. Let's see if I can get it over here, right here. And it comes out 3 feet, and that's where this structure was built. And I decided to mount treated 2x4 on the side, especially with some of these big lag bolts. And then I put a 4x4 up as the main support, and that is done quite well. I'm probably still going to come back and do one more support that will just anchor in to this spot right here, up into here somewhere. In case we get a big snow load, that will really make a difference. The outside board is a treated board, and then it's got the metal on top of that. And I realized that I had this fascia board here was not treated, and it was exposed here on the corner. So I just added this little piece of Hardie siding on top of that to prevent it from ever getting water contact. I was doing so good with my metal roof here until I got to the midway point. Sorry, it's a bit cloudy. And then you can see it just got off there, and there were a few more spots where that happened. But all in all, it has turned out pretty good. Back here on the back is the exact same, where I used the 2x4 treated wood, and I put this little decorative angle on it there. I think it really makes a difference. And also put those supports there. This side of the roof did a whole lot better. There's a little bit of a spot here and one right down here, but it has turned out quite nicely. As far as trim goes, I used the 7 1/4 Hardie board for up here, and then I cut a piece to 6 1/4 under here, and there was still a gap, so I added a piece of that Miratech trim right there, and it has closed up all the gaps that were still visible. And that just ends right here. Now, one thing that I still have to do is add a piece of Hardie siding right in here in this blurred area. There you go. So you can see there's still an exposed piece of one of the trusses right there. 2x8 construction for the base frame with 3/4 inch plywood on top of that. I did put plastic under there, and that seems to be doing really well at keeping the moisture down. I'll definitely know more in the summertime when it's worse out, but got paver stones. Some of these have 2 pavers, and some of them are just 1 on 6 to 8 inches of gravel underneath. Tyvek is used up under the sheathing there. Okay, let's go ahead and step inside. Oh yeah, more of the Miratech here on the outside for the trim, and that really locks the door into place and also covers up the house wrap on that door frame. I use just a standard doorknob. Works out pretty good. Let that open up. The door I constructed with a 2x4 frame, and then I've got hinges here, Hardie board on the outside, and then I used OSB here on the inner portion. I've got one of these little locks here, and I only could find one of the small ones for the lower portion of this door. I'll be replacing that with a bigger one before long. The door, I just used a 2x6 header, and it seems to be doing just fine. The walls are 16-inch on center. Now for the trusses, I built those out of 2x6, and then every other truss has a rafter tie on it. Those are really important to prevent the walls from swelling under a heavy load. And I got inconsistent with some of my support beams up here. You can see that one's 5 foot, 5 foot. This one's like 4 foot, 3.5. But I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. It's mostly just for a little extra support on those trusses. To tie in the trusses to the building itself, I used 2 different strong tie. This one I believe is the H2.5. I could be wrong on that. And then I've also got, which will be hard to see, some H2 back there, which make kind of a U shape and lock this thing in really nicely. My window, I found out, had a little scratch on it from, let's see, I don't think it's gonna focus. There we go. Little scratch on it here from whenever I purchased it, but it seems to be, it was working fine. Oh, there we go. Just a little stuck. But anyway, that window works just fine. Stays up nice, and we'll let a little extra breeze in here. I like having a window so you can have some light in here with the doors closed, and also you can see what's driving by on the road out there. The back door looks just like the front door, only it's taller and not as wide. I'm not really sure why I built it taller, but it seems to work out pretty good. And to be honest with you, I probably should have just made the front door a little bit taller. You can see whenever I walk up here, you can see just how short it is. I've got like 8 inches of extra room above my head, but it's fine. I like to be honest here on the Land House channel, and I'm going to point out the mistakes or things that I probably would have done differently if I had this video to do over again. So let's start out here on the front. I probably should have made the ramp a little bit steeper on the front, but it's okay. And over here on this, I should have installed these supports out here past my 3-inch mark so that I could have put one of these up along that. And instead, I've just put a filler in there. I'm going to come back with some caulk and then paint that flat, hopefully, and it will look pretty good. But it would have been nice to have had this piece of trim all the way up as it is here on the side. You can see that just looks a whole lot better. If I made this again, I would probably use a treated board under here instead of this untreated. But with it being covered here and here by this fascia, it should be just fine. My trusses were not totally equal on this side. Let me see if I can get it to focus in here. So you can see there is a gap right here that you can kind of see up into. I would have probably cut those trusses tails off a bit better to line up so I wouldn't have that inconsistency. Same deal back here. I'm gonna have to fill this in and paint it. Not really sure what I could have done other than move the entire door over a little bit, because that is pretty close tolerance right in there. Back here in the back, I should have put my rake trim a little bit closer to the top up there, because there is quite a gap, which is hard to see on this camera, but so I could have easily slid this end up further to cover that better. Here are 2 mistakes that I did not show you at all during the filming because it was the back door. I was having a bad day and thought I'm just going to go out to the shed and work a little while. So, oh hey Wally. I took the measurements for this side of my hardy board, cut them, and realized I was a foot short. So I got that fixed here by just cutting up further and getting that attached. So I'm thinking paint ought to seal it up pretty good. The other mistake was with this knob here. I used my template, cut it out, and was a half inch off. But then I found out I could pop this piece even further out than the 2 settings that it gave, and it worked out. So that was okay. Now on my doors, I had to cut into the OSB a bit because they weren't long enough to reach, the handle wasn't long enough to reach all the way through. And so I did that, had to get some different screws, but it is working quite well. Now the floor on the inside, you'll notice I have put some of that liquid nails in here to fill the gap. And that is working okay. I think it's going to be fine. But I should have done a little bit better job at setting my plywood down because I've got those decent sized gaps. And I still need to come back and fill that one some. And they get better as they go along here. So the cost of this building, if it were any other year than 2020, would have been about $1,500. That's because I got the metal roof from a friend and did not have to pay that extra $600 or $700 for that. What I paid for this year, even having the metal roof, was about $3,200, so almost twice what it should have been. A single sheet of OSB, the cheapest I could find it, was $22. When I started pricing this out last year, OSB was $7 a sheet, so it was painful to buy that, but I needed to have something built for my lawnmower and four-wheeler. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that. Ring the notification bell so you can stay tuned for the updates on this shed. I have got off-grid solar coming in here. I've got storage shelves, and also I'm going to be starting a new YouTube channel, and part of my filming setup will be in this as well, so you don't want to miss all of that. Thank you so much for watching this series. It has been lots of fun. I think it is my best build so far, and I'm sure I've made mistakes. Write those in the comments down below if you have found one. I would love to learn from this experience. And just remember, I am a homeowner with a YouTube channel, and I don't have any professional skills when it comes to building something like this. But I think it turned out pretty good. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. No joke, 24 hours after I completed the shed, we got 1.5 inches of snow, and it's 27 degrees out here. So thankful I finished this 2 days earlier than I was supposed to.